Hello. Today I'm going to be going over the persistent reference pathing in general. Now I'm going to be covering quite a few bases on this. Number one, I'm going to explain a little bit what persistent references are, and I'm going to be explaining a little bit about how they are linked to the AI and then the AI path, which it seems like it's going to be hopping around quite a bit. The issue with this is that I can't just explain persistent references because then I have to explain everything in general, and that would be a pretty long tutorial because of how many things there are along with persistent references. Along with this being said, I want to just go over the AI path in general, and I'll make another tutorial for AI in general and anything else that I'm going to be going over. I'll make individual tutorials to break this down. And I can't explain one without explaining the main persistent reference manager, so I'll be going over this each time. Here is the persistent reference manager. What Silvamat likes to do is use context menus, which you'll find a lot of hidden, very useful functions inside this, which are these three. To me, I don't always see those, and that creates a whole lot of mistakes on my end because I don't think to look there, think, oh, well, this is kind of hard to do because I have to do it manually each time, which really, he's made some excellent functions, but just kind of hard to find. So I've been going through and making editor scripts for everything, and some of this doesn't really exist. Each time you see a commands box or a box that looks like this in general, I will try to have a PasteBin link to where you can use those. Read inside the description, or it'll be the first comment that is pinned. I'll have paste bins on this, and unfortunately his script actually doesn't have really, I don't think, any of those three. I think I wrote those inside of his script. So I will also have a paste bin link on how to include those, and it's pretty simple. I really love it because, like, let's say you make an accident and delete one of your AI, you'll start to wonder, is it still saved inside? Is that still a key that is saved somewhere? Yes, it is. That's a big issue. So to fix this, I made it unregister, and to verify, I made a list all, and then to refix it, I made a find new references. So let's go ahead and run through those real quick. Number one, we're going to unregister them all. There you go. Whenever you unregister them from anywhere, they'll always jump down to the unregistered category. Let's go to the console here. It says that they are successfully unregistered. So I'm going to clear that so we can have a nice clean slate. Let's go ahead and list them all. It says that there is none found. That's excellent. That means that there are no keys saved inside the registry for this, the database actually. Now we're going to try to find all the new persistent references. Now this really only goes inside the scene of persistent references. I wish I could extend this out to search everywhere, but that would be quite the task, and not only that, but if you don't have certain scenes loaded, it can't find that. So I just kind of limited it to persistent references cell. Now, whenever you make a new reference AI, you can use the editor, and we're just going to select a person in general. Ignore all my errors, that's on purpose. It doesn't like the way I do it, but I'm doing it anyways that way. All you have to do is select persistent reference and then click on save, and what that will do is it will instantiate a new model, and it will load it inside your persistent references scene, and it will go ahead and register them as well. I'm going to cancel that because I don't want to make that person a persistent reference. We're going to clear all this, and I mean, that's kind of a one step does all, and it's inside that area. And now let's say that you're doing this a different way. You already have it made. You don't want to sit there and rewrite that. You could just load the world loader, and then you hold control and click on whatever scene you want to load, which is inside the cell view. You click on World Loader, and then you'd hold down Control and double click on whatever cell. Then you could just drag and drop him from one cell to your persistent reference, and you could put him inside unregistered. I don't think it really matters where you put him. You could put him anywhere underneath as a child of the persistent reference. And then when that is done, which would be here or wherever you drop them, then you can just click on Find New Persistent References. Whenever you do that, it puts them all where they need to be, and it will register them. Then that'd be essentially the same thing, but without having to make a whole new model, which can be quite the process. And just to verify if that actually worked, you can go ahead and say list all. What this does is list all references that are registered in any part of this, which I'm only going to have 3 right now because I haven't gotten very far into my world yet. So that is the persistent references rundown. So let's go and go down to the next step. You also can, I'm going to clear that again. Scroll down to the bottom of your RCK AI script, and now if you did it the long way around, which I just explained by loading 2 scenes and drag and drop and then reference, you will need to verify that your RCK AI script is unchecked. That is possibly the biggest difference between a regular persistent reference and non-persistent reference. And then you'll need to make sure that this is checked, and you need to have your world space ID in there. Now, if this is an exterior cell where there's a whole bunch of cells, you can leave the in cell ID blank. But now, if it is inside of an interior cell and there's just one cell there, you will need to list that along with the world space ID. Then once you have that done, you should have a persistent reference script down anywhere onto the AI, and if you do not, you can simply add it by going to this and typing in persistent reference. Whenever you do that, it will load a new script, which is right here. I already had it on mine, so that's why you've seen it. And this will most likely be blank, like so. To fill it out, you can click on the Get AI ID, which it'll be right there. And this will be included on my PasteBin list area. It'll fill that out for you, which mine was already filled out, so I'm just going to click on Revert. And with this fun little script, you can register or unregister. I cannot remember if I made those 2 or if those were already there. But either way, I made buttons for it to make it nice and easy. So now we have a way to do them individually and as a bulk. Now we're finally going to be going over the AI paths. The AI paths is just a parent. There's no script in it at all. This is just to help you keep better organized. And then beyond that, what I try to do is I'm going to be making categories for regions, and if I need to, cities and whatever, because there's going to be a lot of persistent references while you're making this. So I have an empty game object, or not empty right now, but there's no scripts on it, and then another parent. This is all for organizing. And here are my actual paths. I've already worked on C and B, so I'm going to be working on A this time around. Let me go and find the spot that this is at. Here we go. Okay, so whenever they go to this point, well, let me go and start over. Here's your AI custom path script. That is just it's just a game object with a script attached to it. This could be anywhere inside your scene. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the actual location. So everything's just a 0 for me because it doesn't really matter. And let's go over this. There are 4 different types currently at the time of making this video. One is one way, then there's looped, back and forth looped. One way means from A all the way to Z, and we're done. If you want to make that looped, it'll go A all the way to Z and then start over back to A. And then back and forth is A to Z and then back to A again, and then it'll stop. To have that looped, it's A to Z, then back to A, and then back and forth, continually going through all of your points. And then you can choose starts from index. Now, this is where mine is quite a bit different than his, which is Silvamat, which is the actual author of the RCK. Wonderful tool. If you do not have the RCK, then really this entire tutorial is pointless. You can go down to the Unity Asset Store and purchase that. It has so many different features inside of it. It's mind-blowing. The author had spent a total of, I think, 4 years now at the time of this making of this video, and you can tell it is a very well thought up asset. You will not go wrong by purchasing it. Now let's go ahead and continue. So on his, he will have a long list of these game objects that are down in here. Originally, you'll start with none, so that it'll just have 0 inside there. You have to make these individually. They are just game objects with a simple script on it. And whenever you do, I guess I should probably start off with this, but it'll be a little bit easier. So you can just create a game object. Now mine are prefabbed because I didn't know a lot of the functions were inside of this, which I guess there really isn't any inside of this one. But I thought I needed to make a prefab to make things work, but I ended up not needing to. That's why you see all mine is prefab, so don't worry about that part. We can completely ignore it. That being said, all this is just a empty game object with a script attached to it. And of course I have the command script. You'll see a link. See what is it? It'll say look at object, and then it'll be a bool you can check, and then you can fill out what object you want to look at. And the same thing with wait time. There will be a bool to make them wait and for how long. I changed this a little bit to where if there is a link to object, then of course we're going to be looking at, which is right there, and you can clear it or you can leave it. And then the wait time, if there is a time involved, then it does activate the bool or turn the bool to true. So let's go back up a little bit, back to this, so that way you know what it is I'm talking about. These are your game objects. Got to have some music on or my headphones shut off. So it will say start from index. Now that's where you want to start from. Now I did this kind of backwards, which really, I don't know, it kind of screwed it up a little bit, but we're going to go ahead and fix all this. Mine are just randomly named, as you see. I tried to name them all path point in the prefabs, and as you see, everything's all whack and it's all out of order, unorganized. But don't worry, I made a nice little button for it. This is update the points. Now originally you would have to make your game objects here, and then you have to drag and drop them. And see, actually he made a grab path points, which I didn't know was there. And it was a real long process, that's why they're all funky. But I edited that function slightly to rename them. That way it'll have the index number next to it. Let's go ahead and check out and see how that works. There we go. Path point index 0. See, it lists all my paths for me, makes it really nice and organized. So I'm going to be starting from index 28. Let's scroll down and find index 28, which is right here. Let's go ahead and figure out where that's at. I selected it. I'm going to hit Control F. So he starts right here. That's not a very good spot to start. I think 0 is right over here. And I got it basically backwards from how it really should be done. Here we are. So this is really where you should be starting now, at 49. So let's go ahead and change that. Now that we have that set right, we have a option to debug path. What that does is you'll see these the balls with the lines on them. You can debug is just so you can see them. You uncheck it and it turns them off. It's a nice handy little feature. And of course there is the GUID. This is what the RCK uses to identify objects as. You can just regenerate it, or I do believe inside of his, I'm not sure if that's there or not, but I put it on mine. It's I prefer the long GUIDs. It's a almost guaranteed way that you're not going to have two objects with the same ID. So now you've seen that I can update it and it renames it, makes the labels, where to start from. That part's covered. Let's go over the actual points. And that one's way over there, so I need to actually go to this one. There we go. So this is where we're starting at, which is number 49. Again, I've especially over this system here, there's a lot of hidden buttons, so I put them all in there. Everything's a whole lot easier to find. And let's go ahead and figure out where this is. There we are. That's what he's looking at. Okay, I'm going to copy this real quick, and I'm going to just make a whole new one. That way I can have it in the same spot. Okay, so this is what it'll look like to start off with, right here. So if you want to see, when it gets to this point, you can choose for them to stop and look somewhere and wait a while, which is really handy for guards that are patrolling an area, so to say. And I used my script to kind of overhaul this spot a little bit. So I'm going to be creating a new looking point. So to do that, I just click my button, and then how long do I want him to wait there? I'm going to say 10 seconds. We don't want him to hang out real long because he's got a long path to walk. So that is in seconds. And this is the looking point. As you've seen, you can click on clear to delete it, or you can make a new one. And this is the looking point. It is simply an empty game object. This here is not a part of the RCK. I will include this into the paste bin so that way you can just download and use it. It's pretty handy. I have actually tied it into the points, so it works really handy. It goes ahead and fills out the property. As you see, it goes ahead and links everything together. And I'm going to put it back where it originally was. So it'll make a line so that way you can kind of follow it and find your spot a little bit easier. Let's zoom in and I'll go over this looking point. The looking point is, like I said, it's just a game object. There's nothing to it. You don't have to have anything tied in, no scripts, anything really. I just made this so it'll be easier for me to find. Now you can change the shape of it. You have cube, sphere, plane, or a info icon, which I thought was kind of funny to make. But for this particular one, I use the sphere, and these are color presets that you can pick from. You can rename them inside the script to whatever it is that'll suit your game better. And you can always just change the colors manually to make special ones. And see, the second one is usually the string color, as you see there. But mine will be like this. And see here for the info, see the secondary color is the dot on top. And for the NPC, which I have on this one, is so here's I use the cube mainly for NPCs because I have that arrow set to the direction that the NPC is facing. It's really helpful for me and using NPCs because it's also as tall as my NPCs are. and about as wide and whatnot. So, like I said, the cube I use for my NPCs, the spheres, I mean, the rest, you can just use them for whatever you want, your own little system. I kind of color code everything and set things up my way to help me stay better organized. That's the only point of this entire script, is just to keep you better organized. And the best part of it is that it is only a editor script. So in game, this script doesn't really even exist. It's not built with the script or anything. So it's very performant and very helpful in my little book. So this part here, like I said, this is only for the editor. This part here doesn't really matter, this line, anything. That's just to help you. Parts that do matter is this one though, linked to. That one does tell the persistent reference where to look, and this one is for how long to look. That being said, I want to go ahead and add one in. That's exactly how I feel. And how am I going to do that? So I need to put one between here and there. The best way to do that, I'm going to just make a new game object. I'm going to create an empty, and I'm just going to leave it as it is, and I'm going to put it between those two. That way the engine is going to know where it needs to be. I'm going to put it about here, and I'm going to lower it down just as a general idea. And you're not going to instantly see the lines connect to it. No, we'll have to do that manually. Well, semi-manually. I made a script for it. We go back to our custom path, and we're going to update the path. Oh, I forgot a small step here. In order for this to work, you need to also add a AI path point. AI path point. Okay, now we can go on up here. This is the way it works, is it finds all your path points for you. Now we can click on it, and you see it puts itself where it needs to be, and it renames it. And we are not going to be creating a looking point. We don't want them to stop there, I should say. We're going to put that to 0. We don't want them to stop there. So 0 and no looking point. And now they will go from here to there and on to the next one. So you can create as many path points as you want. You can just literally duplicate them over and over by clicking on it and hitting Control D and putting it wherever you want. For example, let's put it right there, and we're going to update it again. Now there's 50, and you see it'll tell you how many there are and update the numbers for you. So here's number 50. You can put it right here, and this one right here, or whatever, however you want to do it. In fact, let's get a closer look here. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's about where we want it. And I'm going to do the same thing here. That way he's not walking in the middle of the bridge, but he'll be walking off to the side. And you can keep on making them as far as you want, as many as you want. I do not believe there's any kind of a real limit. It's pretty handy because you can make the NPCs walk around wherever, however, for as long ever, do whatever. And just to extend on that, this isn't just walk to point A and Z and back, for example. There's many things you can do with it. There are events. You can start a quest with it. Let's go ahead and give an example here. These are the standard default quests that are inside the kit already. So we're going to start off just another delivery, index 0, and the index is the stages, if you're used to that. And you can either hide the alert or make it alert. Default is it will alert across your screen, and this happens when the NPC gets to this spot. So you can make it start a quest, or you can make it update a quest with the exact same stuff. See here, which one was that? Said just another delivery. And so let's say the quest is already started. Now we're going to go to quest number 10, or you can mark it as completed, and you can either hide the log or show the log. And then lastly, there are consequences. Now the consequences, I guess there's not really a better word for it. Consequences is pretty much right on, but it's not the way it sounds. So this is what I guess results would probably be a better word instead of consequences for this particular instance. So let's say whenever he goes over here and you don't really want to do a update of a quest or a quest dealer, then you want to, but you still want to do something, then consequences is where you want to be. Let's go and add one. Consequences. You can do something with your inventory, or you can do something with your mutable, or the RCK AI. You can do something with spells, and then there's this big long list of others. You can lock doors, unlock doors, change scene, and make an alert message. There's quite a few different things you can do, and that's really handy. And then if you want to attach a script to it to do something else whenever this happens, then that is where you would type down the script here. So as you see, there's quite a few different things you can do. Trying to revert this stuff here real quick because I don't want to save that. Oh, I didn't save it, that's why, so I'm going to have to just click 0. There we go. I'm not using these yet on this particular spot, so I just minimize it to where I don't see it. So there you have it. You have your pathing system. You have your points, your AI path point, your looking point, and you have the point manager or the custom path, and your AI, your entire system's been explained. If you have any questions, comments, please do so. And do please hit like and subscribe. That'd be awesome. It sure helped me a lot. Have a good day.